Well, to the tech space now, where a new crop of leaders are set to take the reins of South Korea's biggest company, Samsung. The shake-up is designed to ease investors' concerns about a leadership vacuum following the arrest and conviction of the group leader earlier this year. So for more on this, I'm going to be speaking right now. Jack Lowenstein, the co-investment director at Morphic Asset Management, has joined me live in the National News Centre.
It's great
National
to be
Business Hub.
It's just great to be in this beautiful place.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? This is our new home. Thank you.
Great.
Let's talk about the market first. All odds over 6,000. Were you excited?
Well, I was excited. I guess it's still a laggard in global terms. It's one of the slowest markets to get above its GFC highs, or pre-GFC highs, but it's still very exciting for the market. I'm very pleased for everybody's got Australian shares.
Yeah. Do you think the ASX 200 will be long to follow, or do you think there is more resistance there?
I think it'll follow pretty quickly. I think now there'll be a bit of a momentum as they get past this level. All the technical traders will come in.
Now, we know that you love, as an investor, Japan. Let's talk South Korea, and particularly Samsung. It has had huge problems really in the last little while, not the least of which are sort of problems at the leadership and arrests and things like that. If a stock has nearly doubled in the last year to about 2.8 million won a share, which is what, about 3,000 Australian dollars?
It is indeed.
A share. How can it still be cheap?
Well, when it's on about 8 times P for 2018 and probably got a bit of growth beyond that, and when it's sitting on 100 billion Australian dollars of cash.
Just a minute, say that again.
100 billion.
Billion Australian dollars in cash.
Yeah, of course, they're in won, but yeah, or maybe US dollars, but yes.
But that is sitting in Samsung's coffers.
Correct. So the stock is cheaper than it seems, even at 8 times PE.
So you like it despite, so the cheapness you like it despite the problems?
It's got a few problems. I mean, the most obvious problem is that there's a real succession problem with the Lee family who founded the group. The patriarch is allegedly in a coma, and the son is in jail on having had a 5-year jail term for corruption, which he's appealing. But the good news is that the governance of the company is improving. But
does that worry you? I mean, if that was an American or an Australian company, you'd run from it a mile.
Well, not necessarily, because I think he wouldn't still be a director. That's the point. Look, I think by historical standards, actually, there's a huge improvement in corporate governance in Korea, and particularly at Samsung. The reality is, Elliott Partners, which many Australian viewers will know from the people who are currently terrorising BHP, they've been terrorising Samsung with great success, and so they're forcing a big improvement in governance there. They've pretty well got everything they wanted except to get the company to list in New York. They've organised a massive increase in dividend payout ratio and dividends themselves. Share buybacks going on continuously. So I think there's good news, and we tend to focus on what's getting better, not absolute levels.
All right. So, and as part of Elliott's sort of activist terrorism, as you call it, or terrorisation, do you think they were able to move the company out, move the family out, and get good directors in?
They haven't moved the family out. They've just got the family to do what was in their own interest, which is to buy back shares, raise dividends, and make the company look more professional by bringing in more external directors.
All right. So what about Samsung's business? I mean, they had trouble with some of their products against Apple products.
Yeah, well, everybody thinks of Samsung because they've got half the world's got one of them in their pocket, being a Samsung phone. But actually, the major business is making memory chips. And they're the dominant or the largest player in that industry, and that industry is going gangbusters. It is a cyclical industry, but we think it's got at least a couple of years longer to go. And the main reason for that is that Samsung specialises in very high-end chips, and there's a huge shortage of those.
For everyone?
Well,
they don't
for
just
things
keep
like,
it for themselves?
No, for everyone. In fact, Samsung makes more money from every iPhone Apple sells than from selling their own phones, because their margins on the componentry they put into Apple phones is so huge.
So they sell Apple some of their own componentry, and yet they're still in competition with Apple on phones.
That's the modern world of IT, I'm afraid.
Go figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think they're worth in terms of their return on equity?
Well, the return on equity at the moment is about 22%. That's notwithstanding the cash, which tends to dilute return on equity. We think the stock can go to about 3.5 million won a share. That's about 3,500 Australian dollars.
All right.
A bit more than that, sorry.
Yeah.
4,000
4,000 Australian dollars. And when do you think it will get there? And on what basis? Is that on just increased sales? Is it on better profitability out of those sales?
Both, and also higher dividends. So they're going to go on paying higher dividends. We think.
So you're only in it for the dividends?
No, but many investors will be, and nobody will want to. Many people want to buy this stock with a 2.5% dividend yield, and we think it should be on 10 times PE or thereabouts.
All right. Now they're also involved in Bitcoin. The Bitcoin business.
They're not involved in the Bitcoin business, but they had an earnings call yesterday, and the fascinating thing we learned was that one of the reasons why there's such huge demand for very high-end chips is that there's an arms race going on to get the most powerful computers to generate your Bitcoins or to mine your Bitcoins. It's insane. I'll come back and talk about Bitcoins some other time.
Yes, I would like to talk about Bitcoins because I don't want to be ageist about it, but is it something that has some real value? Let's talk about it another time.
Exactly.
What I do want you to talk about is, Abenomics, just a little bit. We've talked about Japan a lot, and you do like Japan very much. But will you stay engaged in the Japanese market?
I think so, yes. I definitely will, because I think that there's a very virtuous cycle going on there. There's increased confidence, that's causing increased employment and everything else. And as I said, many asset prices in Japan are very depressed, particularly things like real estate.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about Japan. We're going to, if anything, be increasing our positions there.
All right, Jack Lowenstein, Co-Investment Officer at Morphic Asset Management. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me at this beautiful place.
Pleasure. Talk to you again.